Apple is a bit larger today than the company created by Steve Jobs in his parents' garage.
Facebook is about putting power in people's hands.
Getting access to information is an important human right.
The chief executives of Apple, Facebook, and Alphabet are congressional hearings veterans. They'll be joined by first-timer Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos on Wednesday, as all four come virtually before a House Judiciary Subcommittee. The topic this time is one that strikes at the heart of each of their companies, whether new laws are needed to rein in big tech.
This is an unusual moment when we've got the CEOs of 4 of the 5 largest companies in America showing up at a hearing at the same time, testifying in a hostile environment about how they became so large and whether they acquired their dominant position in the market legally.
The bipartisan investigation is looking at whether U.S. antitrust laws need to be updated.
These online platforms are in some ways a new phenomenon, certainly new enough that they didn't exist when U.S. antitrust laws, which are decades old, were written.
Some lawmakers say the tech giants are wielding excessive power over markets such as online retail, online advertising, and smartphone apps. Amazon dominates online retail with nearly 40% of U.S. online shopping occurring on its platform. Amazon, with a market value of about $1.5 trillion, is facing scrutiny over whether it unfairly uses its size and platform against competitors and other sellers on its site. Jeff Bezos, Amazon CEO, came under pressure to testify to Congress after the Wall Street Journal reported in April that Amazon was using data from its own sellers to launch competing products. Amazon says it strictly prohibits its employees from using seller data to determine which private label products to launch. Wednesday's hearing will be the first time the world's richest man testifies before Congress.
It will be a new experience for him, and it'll be interesting to see how he responds.
Lawmakers are expected to challenge Amazon's contention that its business practices don't drown out competitors. Bezos, in the opening statement he released, says Amazon accounts for less than 4% of retail in the U.S. And unlike industries that are winner-take-all, there's room in retail for many winners. Bezos' testimony comes as the Federal Trade Commission, along with some states, is probing whether Amazon's practices hurt competition. Apple's CEO, Tim Cook, is expected to defend how his company's App Store operates. It generates about $15 billion in annual sales for Apple. Developers, customers, and lawmakers are balking at the 30% cut the company takes on sales. It's the only App Store available on more than 900 million iPhones worldwide. Apple has argued that it's not a monopolist, and a study it commissioned ahead of Wednesday's hearing says the 30% fee is fair and similar to other digital marketplaces. Mr. Cook is set to tell lawmakers Apple does not have a dominant market share in any market where we do business.
I am proud to represent Apple before you today.
Tim Cook has appeared before Congress before back in 2013. It's about Apple's tax practices.
Can you understand there's a perception of unfair advantage here, Mr. Cook?
Sir, I see this as a very complex topic.
That is not an easy place to testify, and he kept his cool for almost 2 hours in that forum.
I'm committed to being fully transparent, including with policymakers.
Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google's parent company Alphabet, testifies as his company faces a potential antitrust lawsuit from the U.S. Justice Department and a group of states. Their focus is on Google's ad business. Google has repeatedly denied that it runs its business in an anti-competitive manner. Mr. Pichai plans to say that because of his company's tools, businesses on Main Street can compete in a way that wasn't possible 20 years ago, including globally. But critics say the company uses its dominance in search to stifle competition.
The stakes are high for Google in this hearing. Although they may not get the most questions, they are facing the most advanced antitrust investigation of the 4 firms. We expect the U.S. regulators to file a lawsuit potentially as early as this summer against Google. And so what Mr. Pichai says could factor into that, and he's going to have to be on his guard.
Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg is also expected to face questions about his company's dominance, along with Google, of the U.S. digital advertising market.
Mr. Zuckerberg is the youngest of the 4 CEOs to testify, but he's actually testified more than the other 3 men. He's been there 3 times in the last few years.
I recognize that we play an important role in society and have unique responsibilities because of that.
He's becoming quite practiced at this. Nevertheless, the stakes are high for Facebook.
Facebook-owned platforms, including Instagram and WhatsApp, have more than 2.5 billion users worldwide. Some critics of the company are calling for Facebook to be forced to divest Instagram and WhatsApp. Mr. Zuckerberg plans to tell the subcommittee, at Facebook, we compete hard because we're up against other smart and innovative companies that are determined to win. The four tech titans appear to be on the same page, arguing their companies innovate and don't unfairly dominate.
It's hard to say that this hearing will lead to specific outcomes on its own, like a change in the law or an antitrust case against these companies. But these hearings do matter in the court of public opinion, and whether the CEOs handle themselves well and defend themselves well will be important for how their companies are perceived and how the next administration, whoever it is, approaches them.